is Sarah Glassmeyer, and I am the Director of Data Curation for Legal Tech Hub. I'm joined today by Nicole Clark, who is the co-founder and CEO of Trellis, and we are going to learn a little bit about the history and the function of Trellis, and then jump into a demo. So I'm really excited to do this. Welcome.
Thanks so much. Happy to be here, Sarah.
Great. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started with doing Trellis.
Sure. Litigator for many years. I practiced a lot of labor and employment, a lot of class action cases, and I found myself in state trial court constantly. And I really just couldn't believe that I couldn't easily find out information at the state trial court level, information on my judge or my opposing counsel. Here it was the largest court system in the world, and there wasn't a single source to be able to go to one place to find out state trial court information. And so the idea really started percolating for me that this data is out there, the industry has resources. Why weren't litigators able to use the sort of state trial court system as a resource? And I was really pushed in. The light bulb moment was when I was drafting a motion one night, and I was complaining to a colleague, and they said that they actually had appeared before my same judge previously. I was trying to draft an MSJ that I felt was really complicated, and I found a PDF file that I never would have known about that was a ruling by my same judge on the exact same issue. And when I had that, I could see exactly how to structure the motion. I could see the case law the judge preferred, and I used that. I won that motion, wrote it in a quarter of the time. And that was the light bulb where, how does this data exist? But yet litigators don't have it as a resource for really the court system where almost every case starts, and most cases never even get all the way to trial, let alone going to appeal. And so it's really this court system where cases, you're both born and die, and to not have intelligence there was mind-blowing. And so set out to do the easy job of tackling the United States.
Kudos to you, because that's the one thing as a former law librarian, I know so many people think it's on the internet. And it's not. And if it is, it's not easily found and not connected. So it sounds like you're solving kind of two problems. One, just like getting the data in a place where everyone can find it.
Yep.
But then also making it utilizable. That's not really a word, I don't think, but we'll go with it.
That I like it.
Yeah. And I guess also that's one of the things that with Trellis, you've recently launched Trellis AI. So that's now like taking all this data and applying generative AI to it in LLMs. So how are people using it? And what is like some of the use cases that you see that are being done with Trellis?
Absolutely. So Trellis is really a trial court litigator's resource. It can be from as simple as pulling a document on a case that you need to pull easily without logging onto a county court website and trying to battle all of that, all the way down to the very strategic use cases of researching your judge, full analytics on your judge, how they rule on particular motions, to looking up your opposing counsel, understanding how many cases they have, how busy they are, whether they take cases to trial, and then down to the very granular of what do motions that they've drafted in previous cases that are similar, what do those look like? How can you proactively position yourself against what your opposing counsel is likely to do again in terms of their playbook? And so really the full suite of granular, specific to zoomed out information and insights across the site trial court system. And one of the things that we've really tried to do with Trellis AI is take a lot of the work that our attorneys are doing on the site manually, really working to make that to automated for them and make that a part of their workflow, where they're still getting the best results from Trellis, but we're doing a lot of the work that they would otherwise be doing manually on our platform. One example of that would be motion drafting. The analog version on Core of Trellis is attorneys finding cases that are similar and using those cases to as an outline, finding a motion that's right on point, using it as an outline. What we're doing is saying, let us do that work for you. We'll look at the complaint, we'll find you the cases, the thousands of cases that are the most similar to your case. We'll analyze the arguments made in those cases. We'll recommend the best arguments for you, and then we'll actually apply the facts of your case to those arguments. And that would be an example of our motion drafting that I'm really excited about.
Oh, I can't wait to see that. So what makes Trellis and Trellis AI different from everyone else on market?
One is, as we talked about, the core of our foundation. We have the most state trial court data out there. It is unparalleled, our coverage, and we've worked really hard on that. And within that, of course, we have hundreds of millions of motions and really what is effectively attorney work product to train and to model and to use as examples that really allows our solutions to be backed by the experience of thousands and thousands of litigators. So the data being a core piece, we are meant specifically for trial court litigators. We're not a general tool. You won't be doing contract work. We are for trial court litigators. And the thing that is one of the biggest differentiators for us is that we are not a chat platform as many tools out there are. We think of a chat almost as you get an output from a chat and then you need to turn that output into some kind of work product, with the chat being one step of a workflow. And we say, how can we do that workflow for the attorneys so that they can have basically one-click work product? So they don't have to come up with a prompt. They don't have to wonder if their prompt is the best prompt. We are doing all the work in the background. So they click a button for the tool or the task that they want to accomplish, and we produce the draft work product for them.
Yeah, this is so key. Both things. The fact that you have the data, because that's the one thing that I'm a big believer in, the IA before AI, and you've got to have really great, well-structured data for any of these tools to really work at all. There's all these common things about failures, and yeah, of course it did, because it wasn't trained and it didn't have the good data to back it up. But then also just the fact that you are making it easier. I think that initial rush we had, everyone's going to be a prompt engineer. And then everyone then also realized, wait, prompt engineering is really hard. I don't want to be a prompt engineer. I want to be a lawyer. So this makes it so much easier. So I'm really excited to see this in action. Do you want to share your screen and we could do a demo and run us through the paces?
All right. Okay, so I'm on just Trellis homepage right now. There's a couple ways. Obviously, anyone who's been on Trellis knows that you can search across the state trial court system, similar to a Google search, across individual counties, multiple counties, states, by judge or legal issue, etc. Now, any one of the records that you get to, you can access within Trellis AI, but I'm just going to go straight to our AI system right now. So what I want to do is I'll open us up, let's say, on the docket of H. So right now I am in Undercover Entertainment, and I'm specifically looking at it in our AI workspace. And what you're going to find here is much of the information that you would find on the docket. Of course, I can see all the events in the docket if I want to see all of that. But what I want to say first is I want a case assessment. So let me tell you what case assessment is. It is basically a evaluation of the case from the very start. And what I mean by that is we look at the complaint, we look at all of the other data pieces, all of the metadata involved in this case. And again, then we look at all of the cases across our system. And what we do is we give attorneys all the way from in fact, I might do case report instead. We do all of the high level look across this case. So we say, what is everything that you need to know about this case, from complaint summary, key facts, timeline? What are the statute of limitations? What are procedural tactics we've seen in similar cases? Are there any specific deadlines that are coming up right away based on these facts? What is the discovery? And let's actually jump into some of these. So let's say I just want a recap of the key facts. Here we have the pronouns in the case are identified. Then we could do it from a timeline analysis, just based on date. And the way I like to think about this is, if you had a Bible on the case, if you had the overall, everything you need to know about this case in one place, that includes for the actual causes of action, what needs to be proven for each of these causes of action, down to, okay, what is the evidence that plaintiff has given so far for each of these causes of action, and are they meeting their burden, / what additional will they need in order to meet their burden? And we do that all the way down. We talked about statute of limitations. What are recommended legal defenses based on thousands of similar cases? And how would you need to prove those based on the facts of these cases? What are some procedural tactics, particular motions that you could respond to, and why that might be useful in a case like this? Down to specific discovery prep. What is the key evidence that you have here? What is the witnesses based on this that you need to question or depose? And what do you need each of those to prove, basically, in your deposition? And we even go further in here with some recommended deposition questions. What are gaps in evidence that we see so far that you'll want to immediately start to request from your client, or that you'll want to request in discovery? And this goes so incredibly thorough all through to jury pool. What does the jury pool in this particular venue look like? What are some recent verdicts based on our data? So we give so much information here. And the way I like to think about it is it connects the big picture for the attorneys in what needs to be proven at trial and how to think strategically about that, down to the tactical. What are the next steps that you need to take in order to move this case forward immediately, including thinking about discovery, including thinking about any communication you're about to have with your client, et cetera. So
just so clear, what did Trellis look at to generate that? Was it the initial filing in the court?
it was indeed, it was the complaint in that case. And this is really interesting. What we've worked with some of our customers is actually getting this from Trellis AI and instead getting it from a workflow directly to the attorneys when they get their complaint. So in some cases, they'll have, let's say, an alerting platform, whether it's us or anyone else. And what we can actually do there is map up to that alerting platform so that when an attorney gets a new case identified, or they have a new case that they're taking on, they get the case report directly with the complaint new case.
Nice.
So they have everything, right time, right information, and they don't even have to come on to Trellis to request the document. Instead, it gets pushed out to them instead of having to pull it on Trellis. And so there's so many ways that we can continue with workflows to integrate getting them this information that doesn't even necessarily need to be on our platform. But of course, it's easy to sync up and request things on our platform as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And then another tool I'd love to show you that I talked a little bit about was our draft arguments section. But just while I'm here on a complaint, we have a lot of on-document tools as well. So you can pull out, and this can be on any document that you find on Trellis. Remember, we have over 250 million documents on Trellis right now, largest database of state trial court file documents. From understanding key witnesses, analyzing the arguments that have been made, of course, full summaries, detailed, page by page. There's so many different tools that you can do on any document as well. And what I will mention is, from a security standpoint, of course, we're meeting the highest guidelines. We are following SOC 2 standards, and we have a deep vault for anything that is customer provided. But what I will say is the great thing about Trellis is we have these documents. They are otherwise publicly available information. Now, whether anyone else has done the work to aggregate it is another question, but we do have them, which really limits, if you just wanted to use undocumented tools with our hundreds of millions of documents, there's obviously no security risk there at all because you've not uploaded any information into Trellis. Now, you can upload any document into Trellis and run any of our tools on any document that, yes, of course, we go through all of the security guidelines and steps with firms before that. But there's a core that you can do on Trellis long before having to provide any information, where you can still find a ton of value on our platform.
Would there be a way to upload your own thing and then check it against different jurisdictions to see like what the differences would be?
Not yet, but that's an interesting idea. A lot of what we're doing is work product that is specific to really a venue and a particular county. There's so many local rules. All right, next, I'll go back into the case for a second, and then let's do draft argument. So now I'm on a case, Rago v. Carl Stores. This is a labor and employment case. It's a disability discrimination case. And now what I'm going to do is actually ask the Trellis AI to draft, let's say, a summary judgment motion. In this case, we also do motions to dismiss, and this list is growing rapidly. And I'm going to say, use the complaint that is already on Trellis, but of course you can upload your own as well. All right, so we start with the causes of action. Of course, we'll let you know exactly what the causes of action are. We tell you the case facts. Again, this is all pulled from information that we have about the case, from information of the complaint, and any other documents that have been uploaded. For what I'm showing you right now, this is just based on the complaint from the case, but you can upload a UMF, you can upload additional discovery testimony, etc., to get very specific. So lots and lots of facts in this case. Then we break it down cause of action by cause of action for what's the best argument for each of these causes of action. So first, based on the disability discrimination cause of action in the complaint, what are the key facts that the plaintiff has discussed that are relevant specifically to that cause of action? Then what we're doing here, as I mentioned, is let's say the complaint was the only document that was uploaded. We're taking the complaint, we're extracting out all of the key facts, the key causes of action from that complaint. We're searching across our hundreds of millions of documents and thousands of other cases with the most similar facts. From that, we have a pool where we're looking at what are the best legal arguments in cases that had very similar key facts and causes of action to this case. From there, we're pulling out the best case law and we're pulling out the best the best arguments, really. And then we go all the way down to what exactly needs to be proven, what is the case law. And again, everything, I'll show you sources in a minute that you can jump up to. But what's really special here is we don't only tell you the case law, everything is presented in IRAC format, but you'll see that we're actually applying, once it has the case law and the arguments, it takes the facts of your particular case and applies those facts to the winning case law. So here you can see plaintiff's major depressive disorder impeded his ability to perform the essential functions. And this is under that actually he wasn't qualified to perform the essential functions of his job with or without reasonable accommodation. But we're taking the facts of this case and we're actually applying it to the best arguments and the best law from thousands of similar cases. And this goes across not only every cause of action, but of course, fundamental elements of every cause of action. So here we're in the disability discrimination case. Next, we get into failure to engage in the interactive process, and you'll see the same pattern. So that this really becomes output that is argument that should be used in a summary judgment motion. It outputs directly onto a document for you, where then, of course, the attorney should work with that output and make it theirs. But the ability to solve so many steps, to solve otherwise manually being on Trellis and trying to find a similar document, we solve that for you. To find what are the best arguments across documents, we pull that for you. To find the most similar cases, and then applying your facts to the case law, we do that as well. Our customers are extremely excited about our draft arguments that we're providing.
Yeah, I actually just saw something on social media this weekend that was explaining what the difference is between like legal research and just other research. It's just like not finding a case, it's one that has a similar background that you can, easily more apply that ruling to yours because it does have a similar fact pattern or other similarities that make it make sense that you would cite it. It's not just like the newest case or like what makes the best case to cite. And that really does answer that question.
That is exactly right. And there's so much nuance to the way to think about legal research and then the way to think about legal writing. And we've worked incredibly hard. We have a team of legal analysts that review thousands and thousands of output, constantly making it better. And we do all of that work in the background. For instance, when I showed you the case report, there are thousands of steps going on in the background to produce a single output that provides so much robust information about strategy in the case in one document for the attorneys. So we work really hard to make it seem simple, and we do the hard work on the back end.
Yeah, there's a librarian joke, which like all librarian jokes is not very funny, but it says, we always remind ourselves, librarians like to search, everyone else just likes to find. And I think that answers that question for that this just takes all those steps out of the way. You don't have to do them. Trellis does it in the background. It just gives you what you actually want.
That's exactly right. I think that's most of what I'm going to show. But of course, we have all the on-document tools that make it simple. We also do, obviously, timelines. You can do a timeline off of multiple documents in the case or all the documents in the case. So lots of those really solution-oriented tasks that you can perform now on Trellis.
Oh, great. Yeah. And I like another thing. I do like how this is just litigation focused. It's not a general purpose tool. It was designed by litigators for a litigation toolkit. This has been really great. If there's nothing else you'd like to show us, I think we can end it here. But thank you so much. I enjoyed this. This is right nerdy stuff I kind of love.
Awesome. I really appreciate getting the time to show you guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So again, my name is Sarah Glassmeyer. I am the Director of Data Curation at Legal Tech Hub. I've been joined today by Nicole Clark from Trellis. Thank you so much. And we'll see you again at our next product briefing.